The question is, how do you calculate the volume of a sphere? Well, some of the questions are, what is a sphere? And what is volume? And why would you need to calculate the volume of a sphere? In this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate the volume of a sphere and why. So let's get started. So this right here is considered a sphere. Now, why would I call it a sphere and not a circle? It looks like a circle, so why wouldn't I call it a circle? Well, basically, a circle is two dimensions. If I were to draw a circle here, it would be two dimensions. What do I mean by two dimensions? Let's just say two dimensions is one dimension is length, another dimension is width, and that's all you're going to get in two dimensions. But here we have three dimensions. For example, let's just say three dimensions is length, width, and height. That's why calculating the volume of a sphere is going to be basically a three-dimensional circle. So keep that in mind. Why would you need to calculate the volume of a sphere? Well, say, for instance, you need to fill this ball with air. You need to calculate the volume, so you need to know how much air can go inside of this sphere. So let's get started. All right. So when we calculate the volume of a sphere, we will say volume of a sphere. The equation for calculating the volume of a sphere is volume equals 4/3 times pi times r to the cubed. Now, what is pi? Pi is a constant, which is considered 3.14 and a bunch of numbers after that, but most people just use 3.14. So when scientists have figured out what the volume of a sphere is, they use the constant pi, 3.14, to calculate it. So now also, what is r? R equals radius. Now, what is a radius and where do you get that from? So remember, we said the sphere is basically a filled up circle. So when you have a circle, the radius of that circle is calculated as going from the midpoint to the edge of that circle. That length is considered the radius. So we'll say radius here. Now, sometimes when you're calculating the volume of a sphere, they may tell you what the diameter of that circle is, and then you may need to calculate the radius from knowing the diameter. Now, the diameter of a circle is a continuous line from one side of the circle to the other going through the midpoint. So it's that entire line going through the midpoint that is considered to be the diameter. And so from this point on, you may be given a question of the diameter, and you may need to use that to calculate the radius. So remember, whenever you have problems that have the diameter, use that to find the radius. So the diameter is twice the radius. So say, for instance, if you're given a diameter of 10 meters, your radius is going to be half of that, 5 meters. Make sense? All right, so let's get started. So we have the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Let's just say for this first problem, we have r equals 3. Three meters. So we'll come here and say volume equals 4/3 pi r to the third. We write our equation down. So now we have 4/3 times pi, which is 3.14. Then our r, or radius, is 3. So we'll say that's 3 to the third. So now what we do is we come off to the side and find out what is 3 to the third. 3 to the third is just multiplying 3 by itself 3 times. 3 times 3 times 3. 1, 2, 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. Times 3 equals 27. So we come down here and we complete our equation. Volume for a sphere equals 4/3 times 3.14, which is our pi, times 27. And we know that that's going to be meters cubed, but we're just using the number right now. The reason why that is meters cubed, because the original unit was in meters. So when you multiply that by itself 3 times, that becomes cubed. So now we put in our calculator, 27 times 3.14 times 4 divided by 3. And that gives us an answer of 113.04. And we know that unit is going to be in meters cubed. So we have 113.04. Now, during that problem, they may ask you, can you round this to the nearest tenths place or hundredths place or thousandths place? So your tenths place is this first spot after the decimal. Your hundredths place is the second spot, and then your thousandths place is that third spot. So in order to round something to the tenths place, you look at the hundredths place to find out if that number is 5 or above. If that number is 5 or above, then that lets you know. But since it is not, this 4 is not 5 or above, that means you're going to keep this 0 the same. So our true answer rounded to the tenths place is just 113.0 meters to the third. Make sense? Okay, let's try another problem. So again, we write our problem down. Volume of a sphere equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And this is the volume for finding a sphere. So say, for instance, they give you diameter this time, and they say diameter is 10 feet. And say, for instance, they draw a circle, and you're looking at a visual of a sphere, and they give you the diameter of 10 feet. Well, you know, by looking at the diameter, you need to find the radius in order to find the volume of a sphere. So the radius is always half the diameter, right? So to find the radius, we just halfen the diameter, which is going to be 5 feet. So now that we have our r, we can finish the equation. So we have 4/3 pi is 3.14. Our radius is 5 feet. So we're going to cube that. So we come off to the side and say 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25 times 5 equals 125. So our equation is now 4/3 3.14 times 125. So now you see we're writing a lot. This is how you're going to remember everything. Don't keep everything in your head. Make sure you write everything on paper, even if you're repeating it over and over and over again. That's what's going to allow you to remember. So in our calculator, we have 3.14 times 125 times 4 divided by 3 equals 523.33. Let me draw that a little bit better. 523.33. And say that was in feet, so it would be feet cubed. Now, if they said round this off to the hundredths place, this 3 keeps going, so we'd look at the thousandths. It is not 5 or above. So this rounded off to the hundredths place is 523.33 feet cubed. All right, does it make sense? We'll try one more. So again, our volume is 4/3 pi r cubed for the volume of a sphere. Continue to write these down every single time, and this is how you're going to remember for the test. So let's just say they give you a radius of 7 meters. So you're going to come here, you're going to say volume equals 4/3 pi 3.14 times 7 to the third, because you're cubing your radius. You come off to the side, 7 times 7 times 7. So we have 7 times 7 is 49, times 7 again is 343. So again, we write down our equation with all of our numbers. Volume equals 4/3 times 3.14 times 343. So we take 343 times 3.14 times 4 divided by 3. We have volume equals volume equals 1436.02. We have volume equals 1436.02667. And so the unit was meters, so this is meters cubed. Now, what if they asked to round this up in the hundreds place? We look in the thousands place, we see it's a 6, which is 5 or above. So this answer would be 1436.03 meters cubed for the volume of a sphere. Make sense? I hope this helps. If this helped you, send it to someone else, and we'll see you in the next video.